Welcome to...
Introverts, Own Your Voice. I'm Tom Marcoux.
And I'm Johanna McLeod.
This episode is You Want to Know Me. Secrets of Getting into Vital Groups and Meeting Top People.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
Well, we're recording this right now because someone I know in my circle asked important questions about this. And I wanted to help them. So I've been thinking about how would I present this information in a way that is uplifting to people. And when was I going to do it? Wanting to help this person in my circle has us doing this recording now.
Oh.
And it ties into what I call the 3 H's. Because if you want to get into a vital group, if you want to share what you're doing, if you need to pitch to top people, or if you need to sell what you offer, your services, to high-level people in the C-suite, whatever that is, using these methods that are wholesome, that are good, and you can feel good doing them, it's a service for me to express this now.
So is it, hi, how you doing, hello?
I will catch my breath after that. Actually, the first of 3 H's is help. So I think it's wonderfully synchronistic that we are recording this now for someone that I want to help. And that's the point. You don't reach into a new group, a higher level group than maybe you're in at the moment. You don't reach to top people in any industry by wanting to sell them something or to take something or to ask them to give you something. What you do is you offer help in some way.
So if you help people, is there a chance that they might think that you have an agenda?
Certainly, there is a chance that that happens. But if you help people as a way of life, every day I help somebody. When they come into my universe, whether I meet somebody at a networking event or something like that and they ask me a question, or if somebody asks me a question through the different channels, through the websites, getthebigyes.com, whatever we have going, or even at my Facebook group called Leverage and Expand Your Success and Happiness.
I got to get into that.
Thank you. And the idea is people can see that you genuinely help people all the time. You want to become what's called a hub of influence. That is someone who people go to and who know that you're somebody who connects with people all the time. I was just talking with someone recently and I was saying, thank you so much for that. They had done an article. How can I be supportive of what you're doing? And then they mentioned a family member, and I said, hey, well, why don't you send me the resume? And I connect with people every week, new people all the time. And maybe I might know someone who needs someone with the skills that are on that resume.
You sound like a very helpful person.
Thank you. I'm so glad that that energy is coming across, which leads us to our next H, higher energy. So if you have any concern that people might think that you're helping them because you have some kind of agenda thing, you got to focus on living your life with a higher energy, an energy of giving, of kindness, of compassion, of loving, of being of service. This kind of higher energy. And also you need to do what's necessary to put yourself into that higher energy place before you go to a networking event. So that might involve taking a nap. That might involve not scheduling any meeting before that evening's networking event, because you may have, if you're an introvert like I am, you don't want to give away your people time energy to a meeting that could be scheduled some other time. Now, because I have my own company, I can decide where I schedule the meetings. The thing
What happens if you can't schedule your own meetings? You have to follow what your boss says.
Well, then you need to do whatever is necessary to refresh yourself. Maybe you need to take a walk outside. Maybe have your music arranged in a playlist, like a playlist of uplifting music with no lyrics, so that you can get yourself into a calm, refreshed state. Music is fantastic. Certain music will reach straight to your heart and lift you up. You need to find out what that is for yourself. So the idea here is higher energy is crucial. If you approach everyone, every interaction with higher energy, I'm helpful, I'm of service, I'm kind, I'm compassionate, and even if people send you some negativity, You hear pop singers saying, haters gonna hate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to play that game.
Yes.
There are plenty of discussions on Facebook that I just don't even touch.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that nobody's there to listen. Everybody's there to proclaim their position.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need to play there.
Mm-hmm.
I keep my energy on a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
A level of love, compassion, service, and kindness.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned that we're working on this topic today about you want to know me. Secrets of getting into vital groups and meeting top people.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it because I want to help somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically in my circle who asked me some questions about this.
Mm-hmm.
So let me be very specific. One of the best ways, whether you're trying to pitch to top people or you're trying to get into a vital group of people who would be your ideal clients, people I call the great fit clients.
Mm-hmm.
These are people who will happily pay you for what you're offering.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to give you all this extra resistance about the investment.
Uh-huh.
To get into that group, you have to work your way inward, and sometimes you'll be needing to meet strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, meeting people in a networking event, I'm going to talk about that pretty soon because we're going to have what's called a Marcoux moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be sharing an excerpt from one of my books called Relax, You Don't Have to Sell.
Mm.
But the thing that I want to talk about here is that find a way to be helpful to people who are on the outer edges of the group maybe, or anybody in that group.
Mm-hmm.
That means you have to come from higher energy.
Mm-hmm.
You have to say, how can I help that person?
Mm-hmm.
If you find out that someone is in that group and they also want to do some hobby, or they want to write a book, or they want to do some other thing, you're tuning into what they want.
Uh-huh.
And then you could even come in very gently and say, hey, I noticed that you've been writing some blog articles. I'm wondering, are you going to be writing a book at some point?
Mm-hmm.
And you could say, I'm wondering, or I'm curious. And then you could just, as one nice thing, saying, I really like what's in your blog articles. And once you notice, if they say, yeah, I am thinking about writing a book. Well, I was just thinking of some way to be helpful to you. And there's a book that's really helpful about writing. Give them a link so that, like at Amazon, they can go and look and read part of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might connect them to an article that has an excerpt on how to finish writing a book or something like that. Whatever it is you can do to help that person in some way. You have to realize that anybody who has a company, they're always looking for better ways to reach their prospective clients. And so any way you can help them. That's why a lot of people like to develop a podcast or a blog, because they can always be kind to somebody else by having them be a guest on their podcast or in their blog.
Mm-hmm.
So always look for some way to help somebody. That's how you begin it. And with my MBA students, I have said the 3 magic words of networking. Help them first.
Mm-hmm.
Help them first. The third H is humor in stories. Now, unless your name is Ellen DeGeneres, I'm not focusing on joke telling, all right? Many of us are just not...
Leave it to the professionals.
Well, that's the thing. Jokes always have a target. Sometimes use that kind of humor when I'm in the middle of a workshop or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Jokes are saying, what's wrong with this thing?
Mm-hmm.
This bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, stand-up comedians are saying for the rest of us, this is awful. Don't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Let's laugh at it.
Ah.
So I'm not into jokes, but humor in a story. See, because people remember how they feel when they're with you.
How do you define the difference between humor and a joke?
I'm just saying that jokes are really something to use very carefully.
Okay.
Because, and we see this all the time, I would not, because I'm not a stand-up comedian, I would not be putting jokes in tweets.
Mm-hmm.
Because jokes always have a target.
Mm-hmm.
Now, humor in a story, you can use yourself as the target.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I do. Now, there are people who say that I really enjoy how you conduct a speech or a workshop. I really enjoy how you use humor in that. And one of the ways that I do is I'll tell a story about when I was like 20 years ago making huge mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And those mistakes show how human I am, and they show that I'm always looking to learn. And certain types of humor is like, hey, isn't that just a human thing that we do?
So you're illustrating a point with humor versus a joke is at someone's expense.
That's a powerful point right there. I'm with you. And that a joke is designed to be very concise, and it either hits or it misses. But if you're telling a story, if the humor doesn't land, it's still part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I have stories where I talk about I'm in front of an audience at Sun Microsystems for 20 minutes when my assistant from the back of the room waves frantically at me. Zip up your fly.
Oh, no.
Zip up your fly. So that's a humorous situation.
Mm-hmm.
In retrospect, in the time that I was in it, I was really uncomfortable. I was upside down.
Yeah, to say the least.
Later on, I called it the time I was the clown with the zipper down. That's part of a story. The rest of the story goes on that I nodded to her so she'd stop, maybe she'd strain herself with all the frantic waving. I nodded and I just said gently to the audience, I've just received some important information. I'll be right back. And I went off the stage, out the back door, zipped up, went back onto the stage, and I said to the audience, those of you who know what just happened, okay. Those of you who don't know what just happened, good. And that was one of the biggest laugh times ever in more than 2 decades of giving speeches.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it just rolled over because people were elbowing them saying, what just happened? Oh, his zipper was down. Oh, ha, 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 ha. And so it rolled over the audience, But it is humor in a story. This looks like a good time for a Marcoux moment. That's when I share an excerpt from one of my 47 books up on Amazon. This book is Relax. You don't have to sell. How you can make sales without being pushy. So we're going to page 74. And this is where I talk about the difference between what a lot of people are trained to do, and they call it an elevator speech. Unfortunately, when they do the elevator speech, they switch modes. They were in a good conversation, and then someone says, so what do you do? And they say, I help you build a wall, a fortress around your financial assets. It's like, what is that? That's a commercial.
Mm-hmm.
On page 74, we talk about yearn for elevator dialogue. See, that's the concept I use. As an executive coach, I mention to clients, when you meet someone in a networking event, be aware of whether the situation is talk at or talk with. Talk with refers to having an elevator dialogue. We yearn for an elevator dialogue because we want what it gives us. It deepens the connection. You only talk about what feels relevant to the other person. You avoid giving that person a stilted, canned elevator speech. Instead, you make sure that you support a real and warm conversation. The person begins to trust you because you avoid talking at her. And you create a good business relationship from the start. We go a little further in this excerpt and we find energized listening. And I talk about gentle questions.
Mm-hmm. Sounds interesting.
And so the main point of this book, Relax, You Don't Have to Sell, How You Can Make Sales Without Being Pushy, is you get beyond the old-fashioned pushy sales techniques. In fact, I talk about something that is another level beyond sales. It's enrollment. And I say that traditional sales, selling is imposition. Enrolling is invitation. So you help the person really connect with what's important in their heart. And that is the end of this excerpt, but that's also leading us to important things about You Want to Know Me. Secrets of getting into vital groups and meeting top people. When you come from the space of service and kindness and compassion, you actually make it a situation where people want to be around you. They want to open the door and say, come on in. And that is a wholesome, good way of living day to day. So, Johanna, I'm curious. What are you going to keep from this conversation?
Well, I like the fact that in order to serve people, you have to be in the right frame of mind. And to do that, I found that listening to music, your suggestion, was a really good thing because I love music.
I'm 100% with you on that. Music is a fast way to get you there. Other people might do some stretches, yoga or Tai Chi or something like that, to get their body to guide their mind to calm down. Deep breathing, breathing in for 4 counts, holding it for 4 counts, breathing out for 4 counts.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Now, if anything physical, of course, check with the doctor. It's an important thing.
Mm-hmm.
My point, though, is you do what you need to do in order to get yourself calm and happy. Then you go into the People Time networking event.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Tom. Click to subscribe to this channel.
And then you'll be supporting Johanna, me, and our message.
Tom helps people in other ways.
As a spoken word strategist and executive coach, I help people really connect and get yes. I help them with their speeches, pitches, video marketing, and networking. And I help them prepare for that crucial life-changing meeting. As you're ready to go to the next step, see special videos. Find out about my books and coaching at getthebigyes.com/next step.
And so remember,
Perform at your best with words, strategy, and rehearsal.
for your success.